Hi, my name is Jim Scheer. I'm the author of the workbook you're using, Music 101. You may just have seen an introductory video with me, or this may be the first video you've seen. Either way, this is the last time I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jim. I'm going to give you an introduction to each chapter of the book as you go through them. But I'm also, for this first introduction, going to do a little more detailed introduction of how the work goes. I'm creating this video specifically for use at New Mexico State University, where we do hybrid, fully online, and brick and mortar classes. This video will apply mostly to the hybrid and fully online classes, though there is some other good information here. If you're at another university and other universities are using this book, you can use this video too. It's just that the interfaces I show you will be for Canvas, which is our learning system, and you may have a different learning system, or your professor may be asking for slightly different things. Pretty much it's all going to work the same way no matter what, but if you ever have questions, of course, consult the professor instructing your section of your course, wherever you may be. So, hopefully you've just watched this Get Started video, and if you haven't, that's a good place to go back and start, because it says start here. But you're going to do this whole class working through modules. So right now you're watching this video right here, the quick video overview. Generally, I encourage you to do the quiz first. The quizzes are set up to be kind of like directed reading. It's to help you really find the most important things in every chapter. So the quizzes will kind of focus that reading for you. They're all open book tests. The way we do it at NMSU, again, other schools, you may be doing something different with your professor. And then we have these active listening responses. The first one deals specifically with this active listening podcast that we've created. Now, it's posted on the Canvas homepage, but there's also an active link here. When you push the button, it starts to play.
Hi, this is Jim Shearer. I'm the author of Classical Basics and Jazz Basics. You may be taking one of my classes, or you may be taking one of our other.
So it's about an hour-long podcast, and it's a basic overview of how music functions and what's going on. And that's the first thing we want you to do, is develop some active listening skills. It's stuff we'll work on through the whole semester. The rest of the work is either in the brick and mortar, the print textbook, or you can log into Kendall Hunt. If you have the print textbook, in the front cover you have a code that gets you online. Some of you may just be using the ebook only. We encourage that if you're taking a fully online class. So you're going to go here. You've probably already been here, but if you haven't, go to the Kendall Hunt website. Go in through this front door, sign in. It will take you to a page that looks something like this. Mine's a little different because I have different classes, but you want to toggle to New Mexico State University, find your course section. I'm going to use a summer one right now because that's what I've got cooking as I record this. And it's going to take you to a welcome home page. It's going to take you to the entire ebook. So even if you're using a hard copy of the book, you have access to this ebook, which is in HTML. And it's really nice because all of the links are active. So I want to show you just a few of the most important things in this chapter. This first chapter is a little bit of a catch-all. Obviously, it's going to be an introduction, and it's going to be an overview of kind of what we're going to cover the whole semester. Now, a lot of books and a lot of music appreciation classes go into great detail about the complexities of music, how we structure it, how we build it. And honestly, a lot of classes teach you stuff you don't need to know unless you're a musician. So we're not going to do that. We're going to teach you a few basic building blocks that is common terminology, even if you're a non-musician. I promise you don't have to learn to read music. I promise we'll never test you on any complex music theory kind of subjects. We're going to teach you 3 chords: tonic, dominant, subdominant. We're going to teach you 2 very important terms: consonance and dissonance. And we're going to teach you how to count like a musician, so you can count measures, bars, and feel patterns as they go by. And that's what that first listening podcast assignment is all about. It's about hearing texture. It's about hearing how different musicians deal with the same material and getting you to listen down, more detailed listening to the music. We've become passive listeners in our culture today, and we want to get some of those active listening skills back. So the book begins with a little introduction, and then it gives you a few basic building blocks. Now, I've given a few music terms here because a lot of professors like to use these. Here's a piano keyboard. They can show you around that if they want to. But the 2 really important terms are right here: consonants, tones at rest; dissonance, tones that need to be resolved. That's really how music functions. If a chord's consonant, it's at rest. You're happy just staying there. To make music more interesting, we introduce dissonance. Dissonance begs for resolution. It wants to go home to what we call tonic chords. I'll teach you in just a second. And that creates rhythm. As soon as you have dissonance, you have tension, you want to release it, you move forward in time, back to a consonance, you've created rhythm. And music just takes care of itself after that. There's some more detail here for classical music. If you want to learn more, of course we encourage that. And again, this is why using the HTML version of the book online is so nice. This link is in the brick and mortar print book, of course, but it's a print book, you got to type it in yourself. Here, just push the button and you're magically wherever it wants to take you on the internet. This is musictheory.net. It's a fantastic free website, and it will take you through all of freshman theory that we teach to music majors, and it'll get you through some of sophomore theory. Everything if you were in band or choir or orchestra in high school, everything you learn there will be here and then some. It's a great website. But again, not required for this class, but it's here if you want it. Then we teach you how to count. You'll hear this specifically on the Active Listening podcast. Use this little chart. Use some others. It'll take you right through it. Count along with the music. Then we get more specific about stuff that we're going to talk about in classical music. Again, we'll test you on some of this, but none of this reading of music. You don't have to look at this. This is just for professors who want to talk about it and take you through it. It's here as a visual example. Then we talk about instruments in the orchestra. If you don't know instruments in the orchestra, if you don't know what a trumpet or a French horn or a tuba or a trombone, if you don't know what these string instruments sound like, these woodwind instruments sound like, it's on the internet. Go find you a billion different videos and get those sounds in your ear, because we're going to be talking about them a lot as we go through the semester. We talk about all the different families of instruments and how they function in the orchestra. We give you an orchestra setup. This one's a little funky. They put the violas on the outside of the cellos. Most orchestras today, they flip this. They put the cellos on the outside. And that's kind of a comfort convenience thing because the cellos are so big. The violas on the outside actually makes more sense because a lot of times sonically it's the softest section. So having them on the outside actually works. Some orchestras still do it. It depends on who sets it up. And all these setups back here can change depending on the conductor. We talk about other ensembles that you're going to encounter over the course of the semester. Get to know these. There's a festive string quartet. We'll spend a lot of time talking about that. And then you have general dates in music. Most professors are going to ask you to memorize this chart right here. These dates, as I say in the narrative, these dates are a little outdated. They're actually a little old school. But they're 150-year blocks, and that's why we keep using them, because we really like the convenience of memorizing that 150-year block. Please know if you get deeper into music history, that may change for you a little bit. You'll see that it's a little more specific. Periods will be off by 15 to 25 years, depending on who you talk to. But this is a good place to start. And the thing is, memorize these dates. We don't ask you to memorize any other dates because we always write it down. It's on the program. It's on the liner notes. It's on the internet. So if you see some guy live from 1685 to 1750, that's Bach. Well, let's look at this chart. Well, he's the last half of the Baroque period. Absolutely. 1750, in fact, is a little later than the Baroque period should go. We make it 1750 because that's when Bach died. Here's the most important thing in the entire section. This right here. A few thoughts on the art of active listening. This is what we're going to spend a lot of time with in this particular chapter. A lot of your assignment work is going to deal with that issue as you go through all of the chapter assignments. And we're going to spend the whole semester with it. We're going to learn a lot of music. We're going to learn a lot of history. We're going to learn a lot of different styles. But it all keeps coming back to this right here. Active listening. You have to be an active listener. We sum up the chapter with some odds and ends, just bits and pieces you need to know. Concert attendance, concert etiquette. If you've never been to a concert before that's a classical thing, don't let it intimidate you, but there are some things you need to know. Don't be the first to clap. Don't be the last one to stop clapping, that sort of thing. There's also a couple of good active links here. One in particular is to the Aaron Copland House. I like this one a lot. This is where we end up, and this is a little more philosophical end to the chapter. Copland actually started doing radio shows in the 30s and 40s, and in particular in the 1940s, he became very important as kind of a spokesman for modern American classical music and all classical music. This is a speech he gave several times. This one was actually done in the 1950s and later converted into text for a book. It's fascinating, though. This is in the late 50s, and he's saying the same stuff and talking about the same arts issues and the same, lack of attention span issues that we're facing today, except ours are, times 100. It's pretty fascinating. So it's a discussion we'll be having for most classes throughout the semester, we'll talk about arts issues and things and how they work and how they function. And getting Copeland's view from the 40s and 50s, almost 100 years ago now, it's pretty astounding that we're still dealing with the same stuff. So there you go. That's how you do it. And then you go into the active listening stuff, and there's a little quiz. It's got some multiple choice, true and false, and mostly it's written narrative. And you'll see that it even says some of the narrative, there's no right or wrong, and that's okay. That's a good overview for chapter 1. All the rest of the overviews will be a lot quicker because I won't be taking you through the techniques of how to do it. And again, if you're not at NMSU, if you're not using Canvas, your interface may look different than this. Some professors may use some things I'm not using or not use some things we are using. It just depends on your professor and your class. But the book works the same no matter what. Guess what? Mozart dies in every classical history book. It just happens. There you go. Enjoy chapter 1. Active listening chops. Work on them.